strategic marketing, has been like how we can cope with the changes in the environment and the businesses as well. To introduce myself, because this is the first time I'm, seeing you guys. I have been teaching for many years, actually, 16 years for a lot of business subjects, as well as I'm an author and I do research work and stuff. So it'll also be nice to get to know you guys, and we can discuss about different working strategies from different industries. Okay. If you guys want to leave your camera on in case you guys want to like talk, then it's fine. Feel free to share experiences as well. I'm going to, you have any questions?
I think so far we're good. Nice to meet you. I guess we'll be spending a month learning from you, and I guess there are some new faces that I personally haven't met yet. So I guess we'll be meeting some new people, learning some new experiences and stories through everybody.
Yes, of course. Okay, so I'm going to present so you guys can see the PowerPoint, and then we're going to just take it from there. Okay, so the first module that today we're going to discuss is module 10. You guys are aware of it? Can you see the slide?
Yeah, you can see the
Yep,
slides.
yep.
Okay. Much now that with different platforms, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm just becoming a pro.
We're losing your voice.
Hi, Buff. Hi, Miss Buffner. Can
you hear me now?
Okay, can hear you now. Can you speak? No, we can hear you. Just now was okay. Something happened with your mic.
It could be your connection or your router may be too hot.
Yep. Okay.
Actually, it could be once she started presenting, the audio setting might have changed from the previous call to the presentation setting. Maybe try again with the presenting. This happened previously last month as well when Dr.
Yes.
Johan was presenting, remember?
Yeah. Yes. So I asked her to rejoin it.
Yeah.
Leave it and rejoin. So. Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Okay, now I can.
Okay, I'm so sorry for the connection. I think it's the internet, it just comes and goes with the voice, and when you're just sharing with PowerPoint, so sometimes you can just lose the okay, so can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
And hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay, great.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I'm gonna continue. So today we're gonna discuss about competition and strategic marketing, and why is strategic marketing actually very important. So, according to you, why is marketing so important to all of us nowadays? I mean, from all the works that you guys are doing, your experiences. So it would be nice to know some of your experiences and share your experience or expertise in your daily work. Anyone has to say anything? Okay, so no one wants to say anything now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. So sorry. What was the question again?
Oh, no, 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 no. I just asked that, from your daily work, why is marketing so important, and why is it like, why do we have to understand our environment and especially competition, you see?
I see. Okay. Let me take a go at it. Um, I believe that the marketing is important because it's a way for you to present your products and services, to get them known, and so that you can pull in sales. From my work as a project manager for a long time, and
Mm,
now as a senior executive for a bank,
okay,
marketing is all the more important for me, especially for the services that my team is providing for the bank.
right.
Because it when we market stuff, we get people to know all about what we do, and
Mm-hmm.
how well we do it.
Okay,
Because it is my belief that marketing is it's a way to and it's largely psychological, where we get
right.
people to like it without even trying it yet.
It's like what Apple did, right? Or what Apple does
Yeah,
all the time with all their products.
yeah.
Okay, so for like, since we're talking about banking systems, so of course, when you have the marketing strategies, it's important for the banking system to understand customer needs, investigate what they want, and try to develop new ways to meet those needs. So, you have a relationship expansion to understand and dedicate time for research to see, because there are various products and services that banks actually offer. So one way to actually examine the market is the trend, study the market share, the brand awareness. Every bank is very different because their corporate objectives are different, and
Mhm.
they discover stuffs that, the opportunities for consumers are going to be different. So if we see here the marketing strategies, for example, like when you're entering a new market, so you have to see the existing competitors, see whether there are substitutes or they're like suppliers. But here, I think it would be working for, let's say, the food industry. How many choices do we have, and how are we studying about this? How many of you guys actually use Netflix?
Me.
I think nearly everybody.
Okay,
I do too.
right. I mean, Netflix is actually our new friend during this whole COVID. I mean, I don't know how much you guys actually get a chance to use it, but yes, how has Netflix actually, for instance, changed the entire system of watching, television, from the whole streaming and the buffering and the integration of various, series all across the globe, and having contracts with them so that, the customers are they're getting a good way of watching their series. At the same time, they can you have so many choices under one roof, I would say, but an online roof. But when it comes to like TV, I mean, I'm sure all of us like grew up with that. We had when the first internet started, and how things were, but now it's not like that. You have the internet to actually guide us through various channels, to understand the threats, to understand what we can do, and of course options. We have so many options, and then we can understand and develop skills accordingly. So
Mhm.
when it comes to strategic marketing, it's also very important to diversify, to understand who your competition is, and where do you stand in the market. So you will have a little bit of a study of whether it's whether you're having a large market share, a small market share, and how is your product or service differentiating. Okay. Now we have, when we look at the bank, for instance, when it comes to examining the organization, of course, we have to see the staff skills, expertise, products and service, and customer relationship. Then accordingly, we study that what are the product, and then the education, and when consumers are, comfortable in purchasing a product, how do we sell it to them? How do banks make it sure that okay, this is what we're going to provide to them. So when I mean, before the banks they never provided insurance. Now they do, right?
Mhm. That's correct.
And why do you think that they started that system?
I think it grows deeper into, trying to get the market share, trying to get, like,
Yeah,
if you already have an account holder with you,
right.
you would want to offer him or her all the services that will, that will get more money out of him into your pocket.
Yes, definitely. So it's basically how to branch out and how to have more piece of the pie. So
Mhm.
basically, banks take their time and they know that who their customers are and even their potential customers. So even like one person will usually they do not only have one saving book. So people open their savings, or they have an account with maybe more than one bank, and some of them probably keep their fixed deposit, and so on. So when it comes to interest, when it comes to concerns and goals, consumers are going to have different goals and different targets for that. But vice versa, the banks, they study the demographics, and they will see who their target consumers are and study their psychographic profiles geographically and demographically to understand how they can encourage, or how their products and services will ensure them to be of good use and create a value proposition so that the bank will survive in the long run because they need to have the reserves, right?
That's right.
Can you give me an example of some of these strategies like the bank use? Like what kind of services they offer?
Oh, I we could see in one of the samples for this one is when we offer bonds and treasury products for
Right,
young people, because based on our research, the young people have more disposable income rather than the older ones who have more, have bigger salaries but
right.
have a lot of dependents.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
we're targeting the younger folk. You know,
How is
as
that
I said,
going?
so far it's going really well because and the pandemic really helped because it actually forced them to save.
Okay.
And then
Basically,
and the
yeah.
treasury implements are, it's a one way of saving.
Okay, so that's like a good changing marketplace. It enhances like, thinking and innovation for the young people.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so moving on, we have TQM, Total Quality Management. With all of your experiences, you are aware of TQM because when it comes to total quality management, that is always going to be there with large organizations because they have to make sure that their services are, constantly part of investing time and energy on research and making sure that whatever they're developing and advertising before the launch, it doesn't actually fail. So if we see some companies that actually failed over time because of poor market research and poor strategic thinking, and just because they thought that investing so much of money without understanding the environment and studying the strengths and the threats and and making a move properly. Some of them, have you guys ever heard of WeWork?
Yeah, the sorry,
The
Co-working
co-working
spaces.
yeah,
space.
co-working
Yeah.
space, yeah.
Okay, so WeWork, Google Plus, MoviePass, they actually did not do well. I mean, in 2019, they actually went bankrupt. It was really bad. Even companies like Thomas Cook, where they were involved and they were there for so many years, and it's they just failed. Do you guys have any ideas on how they failed and how these multi-billion-dollar corporations, where they showed that they had a lot of money and somehow the financial ruin, they had to like dissolve? So even like organizations like, okay, Toys R Us. I mean, everyone is aware of Toys R Us, right? And how the online system actually changed the course of how things work. Do you have any view on that?
Yeah, they kind of got beat by Amazon.
Okay. So what do you have like a lot of co-working space in your country?
Oh, we do in the Philippines. But they're mostly centered here in Manila. In the provinces, it's not quite as prevalent. But here in Manila, we have a lot of co-working spaces. In the actually, when Amazon Web Services started here in Manila, they
Mm-hmm.
first occupied a co-working space before actually establishing their own office space.
Okay, that's nice. So things are like changing, but at the same time, you can't have so many, right? But what about the people, the potential people, like the youth? Do they actually like going to, or the startups, do they like to go to a co-working space, or they prefer to be in a physical environment, where you know that you're going to an office? Because everyone has different things. So I think when you're entering a market, it's also important. It's important to study your consumers, because these are the customers who are going to enter, come to a co-working space, develop, create, innovate, and make large organizations, or probably a small business turning to be this mega business in the future.
Agree, but in Manila, and personally, if I have a startup, I would employ co-working space, because if
Mm-hmm.
I am going to entertain customers, I would like to entertain them in a more formal, more official setup rather than,
Mm-hmm.
like, say, your own home, uh,
Right.
where it's informal. Because I would like my customers to think that I am here in for the long haul, and that we're really serious about our business.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah, but I think like in Indonesia there are thousands of startups, and probably they still have some limited budget. So the co-working space probably is the main
Mm-hmm.
thing for them, right? So yeah,
Right.
they started there before going in officially to maybe if they're getting bigger and then they have a more injection, cash injection, then they can have their own office.
Right, right. Yeah, that's also why a lot of people like to go to the co-working space, because of the finance, right? They need to see how often they're gonna go, and then the hours and stuff like that. But like for example, in Thailand, it is very popular here, you know, and people enjoy that environment. People enjoy, just coming over, just staying with their colleagues or their partners, or maybe even working alone online. And the system of having a cafe around makes it easier for them to have conversations with their friends. And, that's how they kind of develop things, and they just feel like they're just getting out of home. But then now with the whole COVID situation, the co-working space, or let's say working online, has actually changed the dynamics of doing business and studying. So there's a lot of strategies that have actually changed to online. So my question is that, with whatever work and experience that you guys are in, how has the dynamics of studying I mean competitors, or understanding your consumers changed? Did that kind of like create some kind of conflict, dispute? Has it been a challenge for you?
I think for me personally, I mean, I work in the telecommunications industry here in the Maldives. Um,
Okay.
uh, Compared to pre-COVID times and the present, the amount of time that we spend on digital avenues has extensively increased. So when it comes to keeping an eye on the competitor, we still do the same things that we used to do. The only things that we can't possibly do and would be like going around looking at the out of home advertising and out of
Right.
home activities that the competitor is doing. One of the reasons why you can't do that, it's not just because of the lockdown, but because of the advertising and marketing strategies for both my company as well as the competitors and many other businesses across the globe has shifted more towards digital. So the amount they spend on out of home advertising and out of home marketing has
Right.
considerably reduced. So that's one thing that's different.
Okay.
Um, Other than that, I think I mean we always keep tabs on what they do on social, the changes that they bring to their website. So it's sort of like just like a daily check just to see if the
It's like
competitor.
everyone is playing detective.
Yeah, pretty
Everyone,
much. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Pretty much.
everyone is becoming a detective of understanding. Okay, so what's our next move? Everything is online. Oh my God, we all are online. Like, what are we supposed to do? And everyone just looks at everyone, and everyone just understands everyone's strategy, and it's just that, yeah, it's just all a game, right?
yeah,
Now, you guys remember like Google Plus had come, it was launched, and then a couple of years ago, and then it kind of like was such a big flop that Google actually had to, shut it down before they felt that it was like a mock and a knock version of
Yeah.
like Facebook and stuff like that. But then
Right.
today, when Google has created Google Meet, because they never had that, you can see the changes in their tabs of putting it online and making it more visible for consumers so that we could use that and maybe not use Zoom, because now we have so many software programs that companies are creating for meetings. I mean, people are even Skype has changed the way they have, before it how it was, and even the lineup and the choices and the options. So
Mm.
the IT department, and of course the meetings, they have probably decided how they can diversify and provide more, because so that a consumer will not shift from one software to the other, or one tab to the other, as a service.
I
so
agree.
on your so on your daily work day, like when you have conversations, what do you usually use?
Well, for school, it's the G Suite, like what we have right now. But then
Okay.
for the office, we're using Microsoft Teams. The next evolution, the
Right,
evolution
right.
of Skype, simply because we got everything tied together in Teams. It makes it easier to share files and share ideas over Teams.
Mm-hmm.
More We're more productive than exchanging emails, although we still use emails. But
Hmm.
I think that's how the things are packaged these days, because a large part of the populace are looking for an ecosystem rather than just standalone applications.
Right, right.
Which is why, actually, for our purpose here, when we use other Google tools, we just need one account, and we're automatically there.
Okay.
And it's easier to share, easier to present, and I think that's why we have Microsoft Teams, and it has enterprise support to boot.
Okay, so it's user friendly and it's easy to navigate.
Hmm.
Okay. One of the most common ways of finding out and studying about the environment and your marketing and customers is a SWOT, the SWOT analysis. Have you guys ever heard of SWOT?
Yep.
Okay, so one of the most common ways of understanding what are the strengths, the weakness. So which one is internal, which one is external?
I think
The
strengths and
the
weaknesses are internal,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
while
And
opportunities
OT
and threats are external, right?
external. Yep.
Perfect. So you guys can do your assignments perfectly. Okay, so you have the SWOT, and then of course the common. Now, talking about SWOT, I will share some information. Like for example, if you had to do like a SWOT or for a bank, let's say, okay, let's take a brand that you got of your choice. Pick something where you would like to do a SWOT on, and you think that there's opportunity there, and there's like, how many of you like bubble tea? Do you guys even drink that? I mean, I don't like it, but I'm asking you guys.
Sometimes.
Not really.
Not really, not really, right? Is it too sweet
Wait,
or is it what?
No, I just prefer coffee.
Cold coffee. Okay,
Yeah.
so but imagine, like products or snacks, for example, like seaweed. Seaweed is like a huge market, right?
Right.
And a lot of companies are, the way they market seaweed, or let's say bubble tea. I mean, in Thailand, you have so many kinds of bubble teas. It's amazing to see. And the way they advertise, and it's like so much of sugar and so much of fat, but the way it is being advertised as if it is one of the best drink you'll ever have before in your life. So, it's just like people are just mushrooming everywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, so people, the strength would be, oh, okay, colorful. It's, you have the sugar rush. And for Thailand, I mean, according to market research, Thai people have sweet tooth. So because of that, when it comes to desserts, so popular dessert cafes like After You, or any kind of cakes or macaroons and stuff like that, they do very well.
Mhm.
But compared to other countries, maybe when it comes to like Oreo, I mean, I'm sure everyone has. Have you guys all had Oreo? One
Yeah.
of the most common cookies, and it's got the taste of Oreo in every country is different. Like for Thailand is a bit sweeter, for China is not that sweet, and for other countries, it just differs based on what they like. Same
Mhm.
with Kit Kat, okay? So this is how things work, and you find out about the banks and stuff, find about products and services, and of course you make the most unhealthy food, like as if it is the best thing to eat, like McDonald's, for example, or Burger King. Okay, McDonald's has changed over time so much that even though you know that it may not be the best food to eat every day, you still have a craving. I mean, I had a student for 2 months. He had McDonald whenever he came to class. He had McDonald's every day, and I mean, I didn't see him every day, but whenever he was in class. So one of the students told me that, Miss Pavle, he's always having McDonald's, and I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you having McDonald's every day? He's like, I don't get it. It's just craving. I just enjoy it, and every time I walk, they have this new sauce. They have this whole thing. I'm like, oh my God, what are they doing to customers? That's what they want, So these are
What?
some of the examples. Another big industry is the coffee industry. One of you wanted to, just before we were going to start class, one of you wanted to make coffee. How many of you actually love coffee over tea?
I think because I'm that one. I only do coffee when I really need to stay awake. But when between coffee and tea, I think I'm pretty balanced.
Okay.
There's no real preference over the other. It's
Okay.
just it's the situation that calls for it.
Okay, so you're the customer who drinks coffee based on situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are a lot of customers and young people, now the aroma of coffee. So psychologically, and studying about coffee, basically, I mean, I love coffee, but to go to to understand it psychologically, or the aroma of coffee, it does kind of the diffusion of its smell, the fragrance does instill or instigate consumers to actually be there. That's why you have restaurants. The moment you pass by them, you will always have some kind of fragrance, and
Yeah.
you just want to enter. Sometimes even if you're not going to eat the food, you're still going to feel like, okay, I think I would like to grab a bite because of the aroma. So these are simple like strategies that every consumer can use, but every company can also use this, because when it comes to SWOT analysis, it's one of the first key methods. The other one is Pesto. Have you guys heard of Pesto?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so the Pesto includes the political, economic, social, technological, environment, and legal. So in your work, do you happen to use the PESTEL analysis, whether you're trying to study about a certain sector, or the current marketing objectives of like bank or the IT system, or a product under the company?
Not often, but I do believe that our marketing team does that.
Okay, okay. So politically, how important is it to study and understand politics and economics?
I think it depends on the type of industry you're in. For example, if I were to give you an example, in
Yeah.
the telecom industry here in the Maldives, recently, the like we utilize SWOT and Pesto, especially when we do the strategy sessions every year. So on an
Mm-hmm.
annual basis, we utilize it for the bigger picture of the business. And then
Right.
later on, I believe our product development teams in marketing, they would utilize SWOT and Pesto when they come up with product ideas and things.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the political part of Pesto, recently here in the Maldives, for the telecommunications industry, we have had to keep an eye on the political aspect environment quite a lot. One of the main
Mm-hmm.
reasons was with the current presidency and with the current regime that we have here,
Right.
the one of the voting promises of the current president was to reduce internet prices.
Mm-hmm.
And because of, our internet prices are considered to be more expensive compared to, let's say, Bangkok, Malaysia, Singapore, and all that.
Mm.
It's true. We are more expensive, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
like beating around the bush about that.
Right.
But I think one of the promises of the current president was to reduce the internet prices, and that was one of the key things that the public actually wanted. So every for the past year or so, every now and then, the communications minister that we have would eventually, make PR headlines saying that the day that internet prices are about to get reduced is coming very close. That would actually
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of questions and, of course, a lot of comments and feedback from our customers to us. And when
Right.
the price reduction doesn't happen on the day that the minister has said, of course, that would bring about a little bit of negative PR
Chaos.
towards us.
Yeah.
And so we've had to keep an eye on that. In the senses, like those are things that we can't uh, quite literally influence directly, but we are working with the ministries, we're working with the regulators, and
Of
price
course. Yes.
reduction is something that is possibly going to come, but it's still, a big how. It's a big question. Like, how are we going to
Right.
reduce prices? We understand that
Yes.
consumers, from a consumer point of view, consumers would just want to see, let's say, the bottom line being half. The amount that they pay every month should be halved, or even reduced
Mm.
by a third, or something like that. But how we do that, what are the intricacies that needs to go into the price reduction and all that. With the Maldives as a scattered bunch of islands across the Indian Ocean,
Right.
providing stable internet connection, keeping the speeds at the 21st century speeds that everybody expects is a big challenge. So I think it's a
Definitely.
big
Be-
conversation that needs to happen.
yes, because it's an island, right? So
Yeah,
they have to monitor the whole the waves and how advanced they need to get with this whole Wi-Fi system so that the island can actually receive that kind of fast. But at the same time, when they have this kind of transactional laws, it's important. Like I mean, I'm sure that depending on the different businesses, they are keeping an eye on what kind of laws and regulations, how are they getting affected, and whether it's recession, inflation, or the unemployment rate, like how does unemployment or when it's liquid, like how liquidity actually influences marketing strategies? I mean, does it mean like more pressure for the people who are working? And then you so slowly when things are when you focus, like now we move on to like social and technological, knowing and understanding that the population, the lifestyle, the trends and consumer behavior is changing. Like you said, they want price to be deducted in such a minute, I mean, such a low level that organizations have to see, okay, what is going to happen next? Because if the trend is going to be like that, you have the population control because it's telecommunication. But at the same time, how many telecommunication providers are there in Maldives? Like, is it monopoly?
No, actually, we have two.
Okay,
The one that I work for is the incumbent telecom operator. It was a monopoly for quite some time. It's
okay,
been 15 years since the second telecom operator, with the
okay.
Maldives. They came to the Maldives. We have seen strides with competition, even way before I joined Virag. The company did have to make changes to the marketing strategy to their products and services. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have seen improvements in that direction, but I think in overall, both operators at the moment, because of the promise by the president as well as the market requirement and market need, I think we need to really look at what we provide our customers, especially with COVID-19 hitting us with lockdowns and all that. The dependency on the internet has skyrocketed
Mm,
across the past couple of months. So, how with everybody being locked into the houses, the number of devices connected to a single Wi-Fi connection, the speed that people experience, and all that actually matters. And
right.
similarly, with people not being able to go and work, and some people losing their jobs, as well as getting their pay reduced by more than half,
Mm,
people would start looking at how they can actually get better value from the amount of money they spend, or at least
yes.
reduce the amount they spend. So for us, it's like a very challenging time
Mm-hmm.
where we have to look at how we reach the business targets, as well as how we keep our customers happy and make sure that what we provide them actually is at the quality that people want. So it's quite a trying time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, I get it because even like when things are all moving to online, and from what you have expressed and shared with all of us, it's like also the security issues comes into consideration as well, right? Because when everything is skyrocketed, you have internet also lagging, and as much as everyone is online, sometimes just a shift or even like moving tabs, for example, just being online, like simple things like the microphone will go off, or the internet, you just like, oh, the connection is slow because everyone is either online working or probably watching Netflix somewhere, and everyone is sharing the same kind of internet uh, in the workplace or at home. So that's why understanding like how the consumers or even organizations are going to um, find this feasible and make sure that the purchasing power, even though it is going to be reduced, and they're still going to try to work on some kind of break even, because they need to understand that there will be low earners, like you said, and how can all of this not create more credit, but at the same time help the people. So I'm sure you guys understand all this now for the pesto. Clear?
yep,
Yep.
I'm okay.
Okay. So I'm just gonna like give some information about Porter's five force model, where we discussed about this as well. And if you see the slide, do you understand what the slide is kind of showing? When you have cost and differentiation, this is exactly what you were trying to explain about how you're supposed to monitor your costing and to see that how are you going to like regulate, because when it comes to capital requirements and with the things that are going on right now, the customer demands and their choices are going to change. Now, if we look at the mortgage system and different, I mean, home system, how many people were buying homes and buying cars, for example, and suddenly with this whole situation, they've actually faced a lot of issues with financial constraints that banks had to, especially for Thailand. I mean, I'm not sure in your home country what exactly happened, but the for a few months the banks, especially for Thailand, they came up with the system of, okay, until the main crisis of COVID was going on for at least 3 months, the customers had a payment delay, and they could pay minimum, and they also cut down the interest, so that when the consumers I mean, because otherwise the consumers will all just be more in debt, or probably just they will have to switch their loyalty, right? Or just, give up on what they have. So, do you have any changes like that as well? Did you have that?
Yeah, for us here, like in telecommunications, some of the things that we ha had to do was because of the increase in data dependency, the amount that people would be spending if we kept to the normal pre-COVID times would have like
Right.
doubled. So what we did was during March, April, May, we provided customers with extra allowances as a COVID support mechanism, extra allowances. And then recently, what we did was we increased the speed and the
Mm-hmm.
allowances without any additional cost to our customers, so that they
Mm-hmm.
can experience better speed. So, for example, I think there was 3 times more speed being provided to customers compared to previous pre-COVID times. And then
Mm.
I think it was 40 to 65% more data was also provided, just so that to support the new normal where people spend quite a lot of time online. So
Mm.
we had to bring that change. Another
Mm-hmm.
thing, similar to what you mentioned regarding banks reducing interest and all that, what we had to do was we introduced a scheme where customers who had trouble paying their bills
Right.
reach out to us case by case now, and then we offer them like installment plans or something like that, where they can talk to us and work out something for their payments that are overdue, that they couldn't pay because of their job being them being jobless, or
Mm-hmm.
their salary being deducted. So things like that, we did have to launch things to ensure that our customers are, surviving the COVID lockdown and everything properly. At a time like that, it doesn't make sense for us to
Right.
cut the services just because they couldn't pay their bills and all that. So we did
Hmm.
have to do things like that. Yeah.
But it's nice to see that in the crisis like this, actually, organizations that were very rigid, very strict, and when it comes to like push and pull marketing strategies, and when they had to make sure that okay, this is how this is how it's going to be, this is how the consumers have to pay. And usually at ordinary days, sometimes you will just see, oh, the internet has gone off. When it comes to service, they were much more strict. But in this time, they knew it, that okay, if they did that, they are just going to they are just going to lose a huge chunk of market share. And it's not only about market share, it's like a domino effect, right? I mean, one thing gets affected, then the entire, like, levels of management gets affected, and how many people are going to be laid off. And those kind of propositions they have to check, so that they do not compromise with their value proposition, so that they make sure that okay, how how is each company being different, and they're enhancing their services to meet with their consumers demands, but at the same time making sure that they're comfortable, so that when there's some kind of transaction, or if there is any monthly or annual subscription, their pricing approaches doesn't kind of demolish or disrupt a business model, but at the same time kind of continues the flow in some way. Then you have the channel delivery and geography. Like, you're talking about telecommunication. So when it comes to telecommunication provider, for instance, in Bangkok, in Thailand, we either use True, or there is DTAC, there's AIS. So it's not that geographically only Bangkok, only the consumers in Bangkok are using. We have so many other provinces in, and the entire, looking at Thailand, how are they using it? What kind of channels are the telecommunication going to use? How are they going to break down their resource allocations, so that they will be able to provide the diversification, but at the same time, payment plans can be, adjusted. So even education system, look at the education industry. It has just created like a chaos, but at the same time, everyone started to wake up. Their marketing tactics started to change. They started to move like online, and you have all of these amazing minds that have started creating this kind of softwares, where you can actually hear, talk, view, and the way you advertise, or the leadership skills, the education, and where you can share information, that has actually put into play, making sure that the education is not as affected, at least through digital and over the traditional ways. And the students, for example, who used to come like physically to class, they used to kind of feel like, oh, it's going to be fun, we could just like bunk a day, like just not go to class a day. How cool is that? Or they used to come to class and they are thinking that, okay, they're mostly on their gadgets. How many of you have experienced that when you were in university? I'm not so sure about age group here, but like your first maybe mobile phone, probably you got it in university. Or here, especially the youth, or I think around the globe, many students, they're constantly, I would say, they're addicted to their phone. Now when suddenly everything has moved online, they miss the traditional views, they miss the physical classroom. They want to design, they want go back to the system where they could actually feel the strength, the optimization, and the attention that they were getting. Now online they can't escape, because they just know that, okay, this is becoming like this, and it's kind of making them go crazy. Like, how are you guys feeling this, even working at just doing online?
I mean, personally, for me, online working from home, and then with LIBT, since I began this in October,
Mm-hmm.
the time staring at a screen has drastically improved, to the point where sometimes, like, you develop headaches and things like that. Um,
Yes, the eye strain.
yeah, yeah. And then
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the whole working arrangement, I miss the physical work compared to working from home, because when it was physical work, once you leave office, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because we are at home, and because like our bosses know we are confined to our home, like the meetings are longer, the time that you have to actually spend at work has
Right.
increased. Sometimes like
Yeah.
work-life balance is
Yes.
non-existent at the current state. So that's something I definitely miss right now.
Yeah, so it's difficult to disconnect, right? Because they know
Yeah.
that you're available to reach, and because of the situation, yeah. So this is what has been going on. Of course, everyone is going through it right now. So that's why I'm going to move on to now. Okay, so far so good. I like the discussion. It's pretty cool. Loyalty programs have changed, right? How we see things, and acknowledgments from restaurants and banks and IT, or even a simple Starbucks coffee. How many of you have loyalty cards of Starbucks, or do you even like Starbucks, or it's so overrated, or you have any other kind of coffee that you guys have?
Like in the Maldives, we don't have Starbucks, but we have a lot of coffee brewers and places like
Right.
that. So they
Okay.
have started to introduce loyalty cards. A few of them have, but I think with the whole Maldives loyalty program, the whole idea, not like Dirago has a loyalty program. We call it the elite card and elite members or elite
Right.
customers. But from looking at the stats, what I feel is that although they have the card, some people don't use it. So,
Mm,
I mean, the whole let's say culture of showing a card and getting a discount, either people forget about it, or
mm-hmm.
they just don't like doing it. So we're trying to figure out why that is. I can only speak for the stats that I know, which is
Mm,
for Dirago per se. With regard to coffee, we don't have. We have a bustling coffee culture here, where the youth and I think nearly everybody loves having coffee and trying different types of coffee. So
right.
we have, within the small space of Male, which is the capital city, we have like quite a lot of coffee brewers and coffee shops out there. So with the lockdown, they majority of them had to move to either social media to take orders and then do deliveries, or they would have to do some even have started developing e-commerce websites for their brands. So that's a
Yeah.
whole different move that they took.
True. That's true. Talking about e-commerce, I think in maybe in the next class we're going to be discussing so much about e-commerce and how the entire system has changed, and even the ERP system and different MIS systems. So that will be like a whole new topic. We could, kind of like briefly, like just go through the market research. You guys are aware of primary and secondary research. So basically, let's say when you're writing a dissertation or you're doing a market research, you're studying your market, so you're finding information that is available on the internet, books, statistics, whatever, like you're mentioning right now. Then you have research in terms of like either you're doing survey, you're doing interviews, focus group. So let's say if you're having food, then you're going to have test, you're going to make your consumers try your food and see whether they like it or not, and then and so on. Then you have like various sampling methods. How are you going to actually understand your consumers? Like, how are you going to find these resources? And the different sampling methods would be like, which place are you going to go? Is it going to be like random sampling or quota sampling, or different places like geographically? How are you going to understand the target? So you have your so basically the demographics to understand the question is, so that whether you have do you guys have telephone surveys there? Like, see, for example, for telecommunication, right? Like if AIS, if you have a conversation with them, they are just going to say, okay, we're going to call you back. Please rate us either 1 to 5. What do you think about the whole thing? So you sometimes feel obliged that you have to like pick up the phone and tell them how their service was, or sometimes people just don't pick it up.
We did have to some extent, but I don't think it's so welcome here in the Maldives. Something that
Okay.
I personally feel is a lot of customers feel that like we send SMS about our promotions and products and services that are related to the customers. We do get quite a lot of customers complaining that you're bombarding us with SMS and
Yes.
promotions, so please stop that. So but when it comes to providing service, we do have a customer survey that we do. For example, let's say when a customer applies for a fiber connection,
Right.
when our team goes and does the fiber installation and everything, after that we do send them an SMS requesting them to rate our service and whether they were happy with the service or if there are any particular complaints that they would like to raise to us or share any feedback. That window is open. So we do provide that. And I think that is something people appreciate quite a lot
Right, right, right.
because of the way that Male is broad, there are sometimes delays in providing services to customers. We have to get certain permissions from the government authorities to dig up the road, to lay the fiber
Mm-hmm.
cable, etc., and things like that. So there are sometimes delays. So we have actually gotten quite a lot of good information and feedback on our services through those surveys.
Okay, does anyone have to say or share their experience? John, Ronald, Bishara. It'd be nice to hear like other experiences as well.
Yeah, I kind of getting overboard over all these, all the Maldivian examples. But I'll tell you what happens where I live. I'm Sri Lankan, but I live in Dubai. So see, when you say coffee, if you take coffee as an example,
Hmm.
uh, here in Dubai, you name it, we have it. It's simple as that. But in general, this part of the when it comes to Middle East, it's they are not traditional coffee drinkers. The simply for
Yes.
the reason being, it's very hot. Even if you go out now at this time, it will be at 40 degrees today.
Right, right.
So, but you'll be surprised if I tell you if you go at around 8 o'clock, all right,
Hmm.
let's say 8, 9, 10 o'clock outside, which I when I go out of my apartment, I have two Starbucks opposite the road. They have Tim Hortons. So, amount of
Yes.
people who hangs out in these places are amazing.
Right.
It's the culture that they do lot on services. When I say
Yes.
services, it's not about calling someone, because people over here they don't want to get disturbed over phone calls or other texting or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
it's basically amazing the services that you get when you go out, especially to the location itself, from how they greet you, how they treat you, how they keep the place clean, what sort of facilities you get, especially on your mobile, how much things that you could do. It's simply
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Like even for Bangkok recently, Tim Horton opened, and you guys are aware, right? It's from Canada.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so even here, like the Thai people got very excited to go, but I'm aware. I mean, I am aware of the Dubai market. I have been there a couple of times. I would say that they have this whole shisha market there.
yeah.
So I think that
Unfortunately, Shisha
that's a
market is
huge
closed these days due
culture.
to COVID.
I think that would be like a huge demand for, I think, even for restaurants,
Yeah,
they would provide that
yeah,
kind of service. And sometimes, as much as how professional works that we do, there are some things that businesses are going to provide, that are going to provide comfort and relax.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to. I think I can hear my echo. Okay, so I'm going to just sum up for this module. We have the market research, we had SWOT and porters. We have quantitative and qualitative research, and there are various ways to understand and study the market in terms of their market trend, forecasting, planning, and assessing marketing mix to understand different segments and different industries. So I hope that whatever you guys, whatever was discussed today, it kind of like helped you. And if there's anything you would like to ask and you want to discuss about, you can. I was thinking of having a 5 minutes break until we move to the next module. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
It will be
Yeah. Okay. So maybe in 5 minutes I'll come online again. I mean, I'm online anyway, so then we'll start discussing the other part of strategic marketing. Okay, thank you. If you have questions, you can ask. You can ask in the next segment. Okay. All right. If anyone wants to go have their coffee or this, you can just do that. Did anyone eat anything?
I had my dinner already.
Okay, that's good. What about the rest? Did anyone have their dinner? I think with the time difference.
Earlier I will dinner.
Okay. All
I think
right.
Mr. John is ready to sleep.
Hmm. Okay, so I'm just going to close the audio and then I'll come back again. Yeah.
Just to update you guys, in LMS Bridge, right? I uploaded the separate session for to post a monthly schedule. So check it out for that.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Y- Okay. Thanks, Earl, because I wouldn't know that if you guys can hear me and Okay, you were relatively quiet before, so I think maybe for this segment, some of the people who are not really saying much, I know it's kind of late for you guys, but we have a short time, so it'd be nice to hear your experiences as well. Okay, so I'm just going to move to the Chrome to share the. All right, if you see actually for this slide, whatever we were discussing, it's pretty much very similar. So it's going in a row right now. So can you just see if you,
Yep. Okay.
can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, ma.
Yep.
Okay, so what's happening is every time I'm going to be sharing the PowerPoint, the microphone might just go off. So now works? Perfect?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but we can't see your
Okay,
screen.
you can't what?
No. No. No presentation though.
No, no screen share.
Ah, okay, wait. Let me just.
Do you want me to share from my side?
No, no, I think I can
All right.
share.
Yeah.
Let's try. Okay now?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yep.
Okay, great. I just hope the voice doesn't go again. Okay, so I'm just going to continue. You can see that whatever we were discussing about market segmentation, positioning, and even developing marketing strategies, it's pretty much a continuation of all of that. You guys are aware of the SEO search engines, right? Like how we're supposed to, like a lot of businesses that actually move from physical to online, they are actually very aware and very um, cautious, basically, of how they're supposed to get to the right specifications of their target. So have you guys also changed the way you guys are researching and seeing things, or no?
I guess yeah. From SEO has made it easier for us to look for stuff because it's keyword based, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
whenever we have when we do our research, it's almost always keyword based. That's why
Right.
it gets us.
Exactly. Yep. That's true. Okay, so moving on to understanding about how reinventing. So let's look at the retail industry right now, how the retail industry has actually also been affected big time. And the bookstores, for example, I mean, people may not look at bookstores like, oh my God, bookstores, but they are actually affected big time. I mean, the statistics show that number of people who read books are actually diminishing. And then independent bookstores are actually being affected. Do you guys like reading? Any of
Yep.
you do any kind of valuable reading? It doesn't have to be like all fiction, can be nonfiction as well, whether it's
Yeah.
online and stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
I prefer real
Physic.
books online.
Oh, that. Okay, that's good. What kind of books do you like to buy?
That's mostly management and strategy.
Okay,
The last book that I read, um, 24, uh, 21 Laws of Power. Yeah, by John Gray.
okay, okay. Also, focusing on the algorithms. Consumers are also seeing that a lot of algorithms are being changed. How many times you have seen Facebook changing its algorithms, and you have all these new things coming up, okay? And whether it's Instagram or whether it's the online platform, do you think that these changes in algorithms could be driving consumer prices? I mean, because of the nature of the competition online right now, the algorithms are being changed in order to understand that whether the price of the retail goods can be changed, and how the automated system, because consumers will purchase their products any time of the day. So when you have the price adjusting software, when you want to have any kind of promotion, you are trying to understand whether, of course, you have to make sure that you are keeping an eye on the government regulation, but you also have the antitrust law to check that the consumers are not being affected completely. So, have you guys, anyone doing shopping online and seeing this major strategic decision of companies that have actually changed the data analysis of the consensus of how the advertising schedules and the pricing strategies are actually changing, constantly, or let's say weekly or monthly?
Yeah, I think if we can see a lot of e-commerce, they are doing promotions every double every twin numbers each
Mm-hmm.
month, like three three four four five five, uh,
Yes, yes.
influencing psychologically to our mind that at that day the price might be lower, or we got
Mm-hmm.
bigger discounts. But when we actually compare the price, it probably not really, but it changed us psychologically to think about
Hmm.
the pricing.
Does it make you want to shop more?
Yeah,
Because the way
probably.
they're having all these double
Yeah,
numbers,
they give more discounts. They give free
right?
shipping, something like that, right?
So from your part, like from your country, like which is the popular online website for shopping right
Uh,
now?
Tokopedia, Shopee.
Shopee, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, even Thailand, Shopee is quite popular.
Yes.
They have, they're
Amazon.
trying. Um, Amazon,
Yeah,
did
we
I hear
have in Middle
Amazon?
East. I think it's more or less Amazon and Noon. So they lead the
Okay.
market.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's like with all these changes, so they are trying to understand how they can, like before the moment the COVID situation happened, the marketing strategy of course changed, and they have to change the algorithms, and they have a lot of software programming, which is a lot of work for the IT department, and of course the marketers who are sitting there cracking their heads to develop strategies that would meet to change demand and supply. But at the same time, with all these changes, comes like the companies did make profit initially, but now they are actually losing. Can you tell me why? Why do you think this is actually happening?
Can you
Anyone?
elaborate more?
Okay, so the question is initially when consumers, like, okay, consumers had promotion, right? They are, even now, there's a lot of promotion going on. Companies, after the COVID, when they shifted a lot online, consumers were shopping. Consumers are like, okay, at least we're able to buy our products because according to the inventory system, they still had the products, right? So they were still getting them. Then, with all the lockdown and the borders being closed, and with more price discount, and with the entire businesses and the unemployment strategies and things that have been going on, sales of a lot of companies actually dropped even though they've had huge discounts. So even the high frequency of like pricing technology to to cater to the consumers are not actually working as much. So do you think that how what has changed, or what do you think might have changed?
I think personally, what I have seen when I moved here and now, it's basically everyone's trying to sell things online. So there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
choices. If you even if you go online, the sort of promotions, everyone's is giving promotions. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe now the distribution has now. If it was Amazon only those days, now people tend to see like at least experiment the other sources as well. So
Right.
probably because of the distribution channels are big and people have more choices, could be one of the
Mm-hmm.
reasons, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, because of the choices, and it could also be people's personal financial, status right now. So I think they're just becoming more aware of where they should be spending. Okay, so let's take an example of a product, and then maybe you guys can actually create a marketing function for it. Looking at the current situation, right? You guys are aware of AI and virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of companies are actually moving over to AI and to virtual reality to advertise their products, or to create this 3D way of, thinking that how the future might be, and using this smart marketing machine that can actually predict the needs and the habits of consumers. So when it comes to the strategic questions, so let's take one example that of your choice, and we can see how the virtual market has actually changed. Any of you guys play online games? Are you guys aware of the online gaming market
Yes,
by
yes.
Yes.
by Sony? So, what kind of games do the boys like to play? I mean, what do you guys like to play?
I'm playing FIFA.
FIFA?
FIFA,
Okay.
yeah, FIFA as well.
Okay, so let's take FIFA. Why do you like FIFA? And has anything changed?
Um, yes, over the years, especially the graphics, sometimes the gameplay changes, and they don't have really, uh, because they release every year. They don't really have a lot of innovation year by year. But if you look at over the years, they have. But that is the strategy. They release the games every year because
Mm-hmm.
the season's changing, the
Mm-hmm.
shares are changing, the players are changing. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I agree because it gets real. Now it is almost realistic. If you take FIFA for an example, if you look at the trailer for 2021 FIFA, it's almost like you're watching a live match on
Yes,
TV.
it seems kind of more realistic, right? Because
yeah,
if you look at the players and the entire, I mean, it's not even, I mean, it's kind of animation, but not, yeah, they've used a lot of soul in the machine,
yeah,
that the way they've put it into such a way that people are actually seeing, and I think it gives a huge feeling of contentment, where you feel like, oh, the players, and you can actually choose your own players, right? You can even have your own avatar, right?
yeah. Yes, yes, right.
Yes.
So I'm sure you guys must be having your own and feeling pretty cool about that.
Uh, Actually, it's just more. It's just enjoyable trying to build your own team with the top players and
And
the
like stress free. Okay, so you guys are aware of Super Bowl?
yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, I know, but I never watch it.
Okay, so every country would have their own, game that they have this major game day. And so in the States, there's Super Bowl. In India, they will have cricket. In a lot of other countries, they will have cricket, right? They will have soccer. You guys mentioned about FIFA. So you have the World Cup. You have all kinds of. So even when it comes to sports management, sports advertising, sports merchandise, these are huge. So when it comes to marketing them, organizations are going to spend so much in a way to get connected with their demographics, and understand the behaviors of them, so that they can get in touch with them and make sure that you feel that you're so connected with certain brands that you can just buy and you will see that a lot of sport brands, especially Nike, Reebok, they will actually have heavy advertising, right?
But it's
And
it's probably not your connection to the brand, but your connection to the player who's endorsed.
exactly, exactly, definitely. So this is also like more like celebrity endorsement, right? So when it comes to advertising, celebrity endorsements or their credibility, even though they may not use the product as much, but because they become the leading face for the brands like Adidas, Nike, Reebok. So the
Mhm.
moment they enter different markets, you have people from different places. And now what we have in the marketing industry is the influencers.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys are aware of influencers.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so when you have the influencers, what do the influencers like to do, especially for cosmetics? I mean, we're talking about various industries, but you have influencers everywhere and especially bombarding in Instagram and or let's say social media saying that the certain type of cosmetic is really good or even clothing, the menswear, women's wear that they try to quickly reach consumers and consumers are becoming they can make money as well out of it. So sometimes just looking at video tutorials on YouTube, whether it's like depending on the industry, they're just going to be I would say more like influenced, and at the same time you kind of feel like hypnotized. The entire marketing industry kind of there's some kind of hypnosis, because you just feel like, oh, I didn't know that I needed this product, but yes, I like it now. I want it, and
Yeah.
yeah. So even when it comes to like, do you guys like shopping? Like as men, do you actually consider yourself that yes, I want to buy something? It's not like, okay, I'm using marketing because I'm working. So I have to understand the TV commercials, online commercials, or maybe magazine print ads. But as an individual, because we all are consumers of some sort, right? How do you guys feel um, connected with various markets like groceries, automobile, mobile? Let's talk about the mobile industry.
I
So,
think for a lot of the things that we guys buy,
mm-hmm,
and then in terms of in relation to the influencers that are, there are a lot of influencers on the net. I think
yeah,
what we were looking for is an actual application of what we're looking to buy, and
mm-hmm.
what works for the regular guy. I think from at this age, gone are the days that
You might be influenced,
yeah, the supermodels or the supermodels of the world actually influence people. Uh,
right?
it's the regular people that actually influence their peers.
Mm-hmm,
So like for example, when somebody when somebody posts a video of how to put on a makeup of whatever brand,
mm-hmm,
um, people kind of tend to connect with that because it's a regular girl try putting
mm-hmm,
on this and it looks good,
mm-hmm.
and then that enables that brand to be able to reach the regular people.
Right. Yeah, because you can relate again to realism. You feel
Yes.
that it's very natural, and that's one of the best ways to advertise actually, or to get connected because you're not having these popular personas, but you're trying to talk. You're trying. People are having people that they can connect with, and if you're doing digital marketing, then people are going to be seeing it through their laptop, through their phone, and YouTube, and you have this constant bombardment of all sort of advertising. At least you just want to feel that, okay, if it was a gardening ad or a gym membership or golf or anything, it is somehow personalized in such a way that you feel like, okay, I can relate to this. I'm going to click on this and I would like to know more about this.
Yeah, and when they do their spiel, it doesn't sound like a script. It sounds
Right, right. Yeah. Okay, so we have demographics, psychographics, and in psychographics, you have interviews, surveys, customer data. And when we talk about customer data, we are in the data mining industry where there's so much information online. We might say, oh, organizations don't know about us, governments don't know about us, but that's not true. They actually know, and they can actually predict and assume the lifestyle, and based on the lifestyle they can understand our hobbies, our recreational pursuits, or vacations or entertainment. And have I'm sure you guys have experienced that even when you're going on Facebook and you just accidentally clicked on a link, or you just out of curiosity you saw one, and that's it. You have this huge multi-level marketing on your system about this. Let's say you clicked on an ad of a car, and then you keep getting the car advertisement, or different types of brands and different cars keep getting to you.
Hmm. Yeah, targeted advertising.
Exactly. So, and it's just based on a click system. So, they are doing their research pretty well. They are trying to, they know, even though you may not be the chosen target population, but because of the click, they anticipated a forecast and a trend that, okay, if you have clicked now, you might, in the future, you might have some kind of interest. That's why they gather and they analyze the information in such a way that when you are buying something, you are not going to have one brand but at least every other options, and you have various options for you to create it. So this slide has the environmental scan again. So we have Pesto again, understanding what regulation. Gonna just continue. We discussed about this. Five force porters. I think so far you guys are doing amazing. Like you guys are aware of so many things, and with your expertise of your jobs and sharing, you pretty much understand how the system is. But of course, when you're doing academic, you can always implement and integrate your experience with the academics with the changes. Have you guys heard of the Ansoff matrix? Hmm?
Oh yeah, a little bit, but no, I haven't tried it.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Forget about the word Ansoff, right? If you look at the word Ansoff matrix, you're like, okay. But if we go look at it deeply, strategically, you have market penetration. So when you're entering a market, you're trying to understand the market. But before that, what is the existing product or service that the organization wants to place in the market? So if you are going to go into a market, you need to understand the growth strategy within that market in order to place. If the market is already very saturated, whether it's telecom products, especially like gadgets, how many phones and how many mobiles, and coffee, or restaurants. But even though sometimes many restaurants, like every country has many kind of restaurants, but still for some people it doesn't seem very hard to open a new restaurant and still increase their market share over time, get their break even. But for some, they just cannot survive. They start, and many startups over the years, they started big, they did very well, and after a year or maximum two, it collapsed. Do you know why? Why do you think that happened?
I think they maybe, and I'm just and on top of my this is just on top of my head. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
it's more about you're resting on your laurels for an initial success, but you never diversified in
Mm-hmm.
enough when the market saturated already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes is it too late that you have not when gone through your information or your resources, or to understand, or it was slow to change. I mean, look at the past organization that they did amazing. Look at Kodak, right? I mean, Kodak was great,
Yeah,
but what happened to Kodak? They didn't really change on time. And how many of you actually use the service like Blockbuster? And that's how Blockbuster, I mean, Netflix came in the picture, right?
yeah.
But you have the digital cameras, camera systems. I mean, we cannot deny the fact that there is a huge market about using camera. and the Kodak was a really good one, and then you had the Polaroids, and of course it kind of slowly moved to the pixels. The pixels started increasing, things have changed, they've diversified, and with the product development over the years, now you don't even need a separate camera unless you're using a professional camera. Then you're going to see different kind of lenses and understand how you're going to do that. But there has been a huge change in that as well. How many of you like using Samsung, or or using Apple? What do you like? I mean, which phone or camera do you like better?
I'm using Huawei.
You, oh yeah, I heard Huawei camera is pretty good too, no?
Yeah, they're actually number one.
Okay,
Yeah.
and how about like is it like a new phone? Do you change your phone often?
Sometimes probably every 2 or 3 years.
Okay, wow. I remember I was like, my first phone looked like a remote control. It
Yeah.
was the Motorola and blah blah blah, and Nokia. I always loved Nokia. I just never even imagined that Nokia is gonna crash someday. But then when it shifted, because you use your phone and you're just like you like all the services, you like all the options. Then it kind of moved to the big BlackBerry. How many of you use BlackBerry?
I did.
Uh, I did.
Right? And the whole BB pin system, the conversation, the texting, the way people texted with each other. People never really chatted so much, but BlackBerry changed that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have Apple, and then you have WhatsApp, and then now you have the phones, the diversification of various type of phones and software systems where you can chat with people. So that is also one way of marketing. Now, with that, you have Grab. Let's look at Grab. You guys have Grab in your country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when Grab started as what? Just as
And
cars,
Uh,
right?
I could see, if
yeah.
not mistaken, they started in Malaysia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they started as the first name is My Taxi, if not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah, they started as a taxi service.
Yes. And then because they started facing issues, and then they had Grab car, but then of course they still have the taxi service.
Yeah,
Then can you see how they kind of diversified their app? Because they knew that are going to order food, they're going to travel, they're going to do all sort of things. They try to have various options. So when you go to um, a Grab app, now you can order food as well. Do you have that option there?
yes, yes, we
Right.
have.
In the
So
Philippines too.
right. So you have food, you have delivery, you have groceries, you have transport. They even have drive for you. I mean, who would have thought that just a simple company like Grab that started where Uber started and Grab actually got better, right? Uber did not really survive in many markets.
Yeah. Well, in the Philippines, Grab bought Uber.
Yes. Okay. So you have various packages and diversification and promotions. Also, how many of you use Line? Have you guys heard of Line?
Yeah,
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
the
we
texting app.
Okay, so Line was just very popular with stickers, right? And
yeah,
chats. And then
Mm.
now Line also diversified with food and Line Pay. And then they had to create the system of payment system. So
uh,
now you can actually put money, and they kind of collaborated with the BTS system. Like for example, in Thailand, you can put money and you can actually use this wireless system where you can just pay, by tapping. And
mm,
of course, the world was taken by Alipay. You guys know that?
Yeah.
yep, yep.
From Alibaba.
Yep. So when Jack Ma came into the picture, he actually changed the course of the online shopping. That's how Alibaba became so popular. And then now you have Lazada, you have Shopee, you have so many companies, and you have like trying to help the local suppliers and, seeing the diversification of people doing businesses. So anybody who's actually having their own business can actually go online. So you have the private and the public sector as well. So this kind of system worked. Have you guys ever used any kind of online system? Payment system, actually.
Uh, yeah,
We
but
have a lot
in
of
the Philippines, there are lots that are more for the domestic market.
Okay.
Like Grab has Grab Pay here in the
Right,
Philippines,
right. Okay.
and Globe, one of our main mobile service providers. They also have like a Gcash. They call it Gcash, but it's a like a digital currency where you uh,
This is for Philippines.
yes, yes.
Okay.
But in that app, you can actually connect your credit card to your bank accounts, such
Mm.
that when you go outside, the outside of the Philippines, you might even be able to use that app because it generates its own QR code or barcode that
Yes.
establishments can just gun through and read, and then you're already paid. And that in the advent of the pandemic, that's all the more important because a lot of people are have become adverse to touching things because they might
Hmm.
for fear of contracting the virus.
Mm-mm. But do you think, I mean, what's your take on this whole thing? Like, where you have a switch and you have to put all these information and data online because you can just, we know that it's easier that you can use the system and pay, but how safe it is about when it comes to security issues and, hacking.
Oh, it is it is very it is alarming. It's a cause for concern,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where the world is going. And actually, the one thing that's bothering me now is when you have to consolidate all of these individual accounts into just one app, it gets time consuming and cumbersome.
Right.
But at
Yes.
the end of
Yes.
it, it becomes convenient. So that's the only thing that you're looking at right now, because if you don't use it, then maybe you're gonna be left by the times, and you're gonna be left behind, and then later on you will it's gonna be regret for you.
Yes. I think it all started in China, right?
Yep.
WeChat, yeah, because I've been living there for a year. We use WeChat a lot, and I think WeChat is like a super app, and then they
Yes. Yes.
the new things here in Southeast Asia market. So in Thailand, probably they use Line to be a super app, but here in Indonesia, probably they are using Gojek as a super app.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And how's that? How's that going?
Yeah, it is all probably it's really useful. They are collecting all our data, but
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, as long as there's no data breach or they don't sell it to anyone, or maybe they sell the data but they don't abuse it. That's fine for me.
Yeah, like you guys remember about Facebook when they had this huge information breach and
Yeah,
the data breach, and it became such a big issue, which just was not didn't happen like not too long ago.
yeah,
So it's like we can't always say, okay, it's marketing, it's telecommunication, it's just products, it's retail. The question is, you also have data. If everyone is going to move the traffic, whether it's consumers and businesses, everyone is just going to go online. Then you have all these apps the apps that are actually user friendly for all consumers and people um, with your phone. So you can chat, you can pay, you can do so many things. And of course, this entire market of QR code system has actually um, I wouldn't even say saturated, but it has actually bombarded, and somehow it kind of like influences you and manipulates you to just have so many kind of personalized marketing because of the QR code system that you can be overshadowed with promotions, and you're just like, okay, you're receiving informations about available products and consumers. People are also using digital name cards. You can even make your own QR code. It's not hard. And the marketing scholars and whether it's the youth, whether it's abroad or whether it's young, the traditional way of doing things may seem a bit slow, but think about it. How many times have you called a call center and then you have to press one, press two, press three. We are going part through a pattern or being navigated to get work done. But wouldn't it be easier once in a while, just a human picks up the phone and say, "How can I actually help you and get things done quickly?"
But Lalaka pointed out a very good observation, because in light of IT security, all the hacking
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened, the cash on delivery is a good option for the wary customer, online customer.
Yes, yes, yes. That's very, very good. I think this is one way of actually kind of motivating and encouraging consumers to buy things because they have this assurance that okay, the products are going to reach them and they can pay when they receive them.
Yeah,
So yeah, so the companies and I mean the marketers and their foresight to collaborate with the data analysts to come to create these kind of services basically is actually a good way. So I think that they're doing good in setting marketing objectives and doing their research also. And psychology and personality plays a huge role in all of this as well.
Yeah, but if you're looking at the Shopee system, for example,
Hmm,
you buy
yeah.
things, they will hold your money first, right?
Yes,
Until the
yes,
customer
yes,
confirm they delivered. Yeah,
yes. Yeah, they do that. Even for Grab, I mean, like, let's say today, let's say I mean, today I ordered lunch. So the money's not instantly cut off. They hold the money, and when the driver actually goes to the restaurant, they kind of like, then they kind of, or if he's going to reach, then they're going to get cut off. But yes, you know that they're holding that money, and that money is available. So basically, it's like a, not collateral, but they kind of like an assurance for the company that this customer has money. And in the past, when you have like cash on delivery, especially with food, with Pizza Hut. There was a time that Pizza Hut received so many prank calls for pizza delivery, and they just did pranks with their friends or their colleagues, and people just and reach their houses with so many pizzas, but they didn't order them. you know
yeah.
so I don't know if
Too
you
bad for
guys
Pizza
remember
Hut.
all you guys remember all of that, but yes, when you had like phone delivery, and that time they never had that system. You People used to come and they had that, so because of that, these kind of issues, these things also, like these new kind of ways of receiving products and understanding the life stages of various types of food actually changed. So how do you think this has actually changed the behavior, like when it comes to B2B or B2C, the distribution channels, when it comes to understanding the strategic market? How has that changed over time?
I think it has become more. The execution has become more elegant
Mm-hmm.
over the years. It has become more complicated at the back end, but it has become
Right.
more convenient for the customer.
Okay.
yeah. Especially I think in terms of security, they think of how to improve from the past experiences. Like for example, like the phone prank and everything. How do they uh, improve the system to prevent all these things from happening in the future? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how the organization changes over the time, like, because they learn from the past experience.
Mm-hmm.
But
How do you guys
Thailand, you
manage?
don't have a cash pay
So
on delivery in the pizza.
sorry, can you just repeat what you're saying?
Uh, in the Pizza Hut, you don't have a cash on delivery system in Thailand
No, no,
because
no, you
we
have. I'm
have
talking
both
about
systems.
the past before when they didn't have this.
Ah, is that so?
Yeah,
Because we
here,
don't have both system.
yeah, even here you have both system. I mean, you can still call them and you can still like, and they, when once they reach your house, you can pay them. But if you are ordering it through an app, then of course they will hold, and then you can pay online. So they have both. I'm talking about the time when they actually did not have online and they only had like phone call delivery. So you call them and you can just give them your name and give someone else's address, and they've had actually a lot of wrong deliveries just out of fun and joy and playing pranks. So
Uh, that's
when
true.
a lot of that happened, the organizations had to understand how they have to stop that, because there were people, like especially high school students and
Mhm.
university students, they found so much of joy to do that. They used to just play pranks. They even I mean, I'm telling you from experience, I never did that, but I remember that when I was in university, I was told that some of my classmates, I think not my class but the other class, they
Mhm.
actually called pizza and they sent to one of the professor's house. It was hilarious because this, like, imagine at 12 o'clock, your doorbell is ringing and you're just wondering, like, okay, who's at the door, and this person brings 5 boxes of pizza and you're just staring at him with your name on it. And then the next day everyone goes to college and everyone's like just talking about it, and I'm just like, what's going on? Why is he so pissed off? And he cannot even say that, oh, I didn't order, but you have your name, your address, everything is about you. So the tracking system, that's how they, of course, technology had to change over the time. And then you have R&D to develop the products and services so that they can cater properly without having any malfunction along the way. And if no service is being harassed or misjudged or manipulated, so that the customers, you don't actually also harass their privacy, you don't actually disturb their privacy. So
Yeah.
consumer behavior has to like understand new markets, understand how the consumers are changing over the market. You have the older generation, the demographics are changing, the choices and preferences are changing. With every kind of business, the way we are going to market or the way we are going to research is obviously going to be different. So, what may fit for one business may not be fitting for another business. Okay, so that's how it's always going to be. And of course, when you diversify and you have expansion, the world knows that you have factories and you have manufacturing plants, and the domination comes from China. And of course, you have China, Bangladesh, you have Vietnam, and you have Indonesia. You have so many countries that are actually doing it, Thailand as well. But now the question is, how long is China going to be the dominant country? Is there going to be a way to stop this? Is there going to be a related diversification where marketers can actually realize that they need to not divide this whole thing and have a proper planning so that their strategies may be more, accommodating to different types of businesses? And now you have everything available online. So to study, to teach, or to learn, or to do business is not rocket science, because with the youth being exposed to internet and to technology at very young age, they are very quick in understanding technology. But when it comes to the backstory, or when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to the core of the business values, the belief system, they need to learn more about that. Because when it comes to the traditional way or the manual way, there's still a lack. So there has to be some balance somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, like, okay, let me just share one of the research that I had done. Then we can wrap up. Wait 1 second. This research has nothing to do with marketing. Okay, this was basically. Can you see this one?
Not yet.
No, right? Okay, wait. Let me just go to present now. Okay, so this was about 2 years ago. Can you guys see now?
Loading.
Hmm?
There. Yep.
Can
Yep.
you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so when I was doing research for transitions in like the healthcare system in times of uncertainty, it was not something that I mean, I'm also like the I wouldn't say expert, but because we're always learning something new every day. But when it comes to emotional intelligence, even in business or leadership or even as an individual, there's has been a lot of changes. So to you have different methodologies, you have to understand, you have to interview, you have to travel, you have to study how different healthcare systems and especially the positioning of the Thai healthcare system, how that has changed. We must not forget that the medical system in various countries, you have medical tourism. So medical tourism is also a very big thing, the aesthetics. So, when you have that, you have to study and understand that whether the marketing of the medical tourism and when it comes to uncertainty, are there enough doctors? But this research focused basically more on the emotional intelligence and the mindfulness of the health experts. We are usually concerned about the patients, but what about the health experts? do are they do they get enough care for themselves, or are they working long hours? So this research was based on that, and then it was published. It did take about like 2 years because you have interviews, you have the rationales. I mean, if you actually go online and you type this topic, it'll be easy for you to find. So like I'm just giving an example of how sometimes some research can just become articles, they can become journals, then eventually they get published based on the topics.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop here and then we're going to move on to this. Okay. I think that was really good for today. What are your views and you have any questions?
It has been a very good session. We were able to share our views. I wish though that for the next session I would get to hear also the other my classmates and their experience.
Yes, I mean, that'd be really, really nice. And I'm glad that Hassan and, John and, some of them like Michael, you and Ishara, I think at the end she managed to ask a question about Pizza Hut, which was really nice to hear her voice, and even Nuwan. So it's good to like, I think the best way of learning and to make it more easy is it's not even easy, it's more about enhancing, it's about sharing knowledge and experience. Sometimes it's not very academic, but once you kind of share experience and while you're seeing the key terms, academic key terms and the technical key terms, you tend to kind of empower and make the online learning flow, and also encourage everybody, how things are. So I think that's pretty good.
I agree.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, Miss Ta, um, should I just end this, or how is this going to work?
You guys want to continue for another
You
2 more modules?
No.
I have I have work.
I have been talking online the whole
In
day,
our
Paul.
dreams,
It's my weekend, so let me go on to weekend mode now. Thanks.
Oh
Bye.
yes,
Good,
oh
good,
yes, oh
good.
yes. You're in
Yeah,
Dubai, so yeah. Okay.
Friday you need to have a day off, right? Okay. Thank you, Miss Lavender and everyone.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you guys. I'll see you guys in the next session, okay? Have a great
Thank you. Bye
evening.
bye.
Rest well.
Yes. Next session is on Monday. Okay.
All right.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and I also updated the calendar in learning management system in Bridge, so check it out. If you don't have any, I mean, if you have any other things that you need to clarify and check, you can reach out to me anytime. Have a good weekend and
All
good
right.
night.
Have a good
Thanks, Tom.
weekend. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
let's see you
Thanks,
tomorrow.
everyone. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good
Good
Yes.
night.
Good night.
Good night.